I never thought my life would fall apart over a house I didn't even live in. But the day my parents handed my brother $650 and then tried to force their way into my home, something inside me shattered. My name is Lily Hayes, and this is the story of how my own family became my worst enemy. My name is Lily. I whispered to myself that morning, trying to steady my breath before answering my mom's call. She never called this early, so my stomach tightened the second I saw her name. Hey, Mom. Everything okay? I asked. Everything's wonderful, she said, sounding brighter than I'd heard in years. We sold the house. I blinked. Wait, you sold the house? Without telling me? Well, it all happened very fast, she replied. But it's good news, great news actually. My dad's voice suddenly echoed in the background. Tell her about Ethan. My heart sank. What about Ethan? Mom lowered her voice like she was sharing something sacred. We gave him $650,000. A fresh start. I felt the room tilt. You what? All of it? You sold the house and gave him everything. He needs it more than you do, Lily. She said calmly. He has Madison to take care of. He's planning a family. He has responsibilities. And I don't. My voice cracked so hard I had to sit down. I'm your daughter too. Dad suddenly grabbed the phone. Don't make this about you, he snapped. Your brother is finally getting his life together by being handed $650,000. I whispered. Don't be dramatic. He said, you've always managed fine. The word cut deeper than anything else. Fine meant invisible. Fine meant forgotten. Fine meant unimportant. Why didn't anyone tell me? I finally asked. Mom sighed. Because we knew you'd react like this. Lily, honey, be supportive. Your brother deserves a chance. At what? I asked. He already gets everything. No, she said, he earns everything. He just shines. There it was, the sentence she didn't realize had shaped my entire childhood. He shines. I don't. Can I talk to Ethan? I asked, desperate to understand, desperate to feel something other than the ache inside my chest. He's busy, Dad muttered. He and Madison are celebrating. Celebrating what? I said. Being favored again, Mom gasped like. I slapped her. Lily, that's cruel. You know we love you, do you? I whispered. Because it doesn't feel like it. There was a long, painful silence. We'll talk later, Mom finally said, her tone turning stiff. Just try not to ruin this. The call ended, and the silence in my apartment swallowed me whole. Later, I called Ethan myself. He answered, on speaker, laughing with people in the background. Lil, guess what? Mom and Dad hooked us up big time. You should have seen Madison's face. She cried. You used the money already, I blurted. Not all of it, he said. But, you. No, we deserved a little fun. We booked a trip to Vegas. And I might have put a down payment on a new car. You have to see it. It's insane. My throat tightened. Ethan, that money was their entire life. And you're blowing it already. Relax, he said. It's ours now. They wanted this. But it was everything they had. I repeated. Madison's voice chimed in. Lily, stop being jealous. This is good for the family. I almost laughed. Good for who? For all of us, she said. Ethan will help everyone once he gets on his feet. You think gambling and buying sports cars is getting on his feet? Ethan scoffed. Wow. You really can't be happy for me. I'm hurt, I corrected. I didn't even know. They didn't tell me until after. So what? He said. It's done. Don't ruin it. Those words, don't ruin it, stabbed straight into my chest. I'm your sister, I whispered. I deserved honesty. You're overreacting, he said. It's always about your feelings. Lighten up. I can't, I said. Not this time. He sighed loudly, annoyed. Look, we're heading out. Congrats would have been nicer. But whatever. The call ended. I stared at the wall until my eyes blurred. My parents had chosen him. They always had, but this time, the choice was loud, undeniable, and cruel, and for the first time in my life, I felt something stronger than sadness. I felt myself breaking. I always thought my little house with Jacob was the one place the world couldn't reach. It was quiet, warm, and nothing like the home I grew up in. That night, I was making tea while Jacob read on the couch when a violent knock shook the front door. Jacob looked up. Are you expecting someone? No, I said, wiping my hands on my jeans. Not at this hour. The knocking came again, harder, angrier. When I opened the door, my breath froze. My parents stood on the porch, and behind them, Ethan hovered with his hands shoved into his pockets like a sulking child. Lily, let us in, Mom said immediately. Pushing forward, I blocked the doorway. What are you doing here? Dad growled. We need a place to stay. What? I whispered. We lost everything, Ethan said. Thanks for the concern. Mom shot him a glare before turning back to me. Your brother made a few mistakes. And now we're in trouble, but we're family, and family helps. Move aside. My heart pounded. Why didn't you call first? Because you would have said no. Dad snapped. We deserve space here. We're owed it. Owed. I echoed. Owed what? A home, Mom said. We have nothing now. Lily, nothing. You can at least give us a room? Jacob stepped behind me. What's going on? Mom's eyes narrowed at him. We need to stay here for a while, just until we recover our losses. You can't just show up and demand that, Jacob said. Dad shoved forward. Our daughter doesn't need your permission, my house. Jacob said calmly. Our rules, Mom scoffed. I knew he'd manipulate you. He's keeping you away from your family. No one is manipulating me, I said, my voice shaking. This is all happening too fast. We don't have time for your feelings right now, Dad barked. Move. He tried stepping inside, and instinctively, I blocked him again. My hands trembled so hard I had to grip the doorframe to stay steady. Dad, stop, I said. You can't just push your way in. Ethan rolled his eyes. God, Lily, just let them stay. You have space. We don't, Jacob said, and even if we did, barging in like this isn't okay. Mom pointed at him. See, he's turning you against us. You were never like this before him. My throat tightened. I'm not against anyone. Dad leaned closer, his voice low and sharp. You're abandoning us when we need you most. I'm not abandoning anyone, I whispered. I'm just overwhelmed. You're selfish, Mom snapped. You've always been selfish. Ethan never would have done this to us. Jacob stepped fully in front of me now. You need to leave, Mom gasped like he cursed at her. How dare you speak to us like that? Dad jabbed a finger toward him. You don't tell us what to do in our daughter's home. Ethan muttered, this is pathetic. Just walk in. She won't stop you. Something inside me cracked. Stop it, I cried. Stop talking about me like I'm not here. They all froze. I'm scared, I said. I'm shaking. And you're still pushing me? Why? Mom crossed her arms. Because you owe us after what happened. I owe you, I whispered. For what? For giving Ethan everything and leaving me out? For blaming me when it goes wrong? Dad's jaw tightened. We're your parents, and I'm your daughter, I said, my voice breaking. But none of you seem to remember that unless you need something. Jacob put his hand on my shoulder, grounding me. Lily said no, respect it. Mom's lips curled. He's poisoning you. No, I said softly, you are. Their faces hardened. Anger, disbelief, insult all twisted together. And for the first time in my life, I slammed the door in their faces. My legs collapsed beneath me the second the latch clicked. I slid to the floor, shaking violently, tears streaming down my face before I could breathe them back. Jacob knelt beside me. I'm here. I've got you, but all I could do was sob. The sound ripping out of me like years of swallowed pain finally breaking free. Because my family hadn't just shown up at my house. They had invaded the last safe piece of me I had left. The morning after I slammed the door on my parents, my phone lit up with 14 missed calls. 12 from Mom, 2 from Ethan. I didn't answer any of them. By noon, the voicemail started sharp, dramatic, almost theatrical. Lily, how could you humiliate us like that? Mom cried. We had nowhere to go. You shut us out like strangers. Dad's voice followed. You're ungrateful, after everything we've done for you. You treat us like trash. Then Ethan's smug tone. Nice job, Lil. Now they're saying you stole from them. Maybe stop acting guilty. Double quote stole. That word clawed at my chest. I didn't steal anything. They gave him everything. Jacob watched me pace the living room. Don't listen to them. They're twisting it. I know, I said, though my hands still trembled. But what if people believe them? Then those people don't know you. I wanted to believe that, but the phone kept ringing. My cousin Sarah texted asking why I robbed my parents blind. My Uncle Mark sent a cold message saying he was disappointed in my behavior. What behavior? I whispered. All I did was tell them no. Jacob took the phone away. Because they were writing the story to save themselves. I sank onto the couch. I'm the villain now. I can feel it. You're not, he said, but they need you to be. That night, another unknown number called. I almost ignored it, but something told me to pick up. Lily, a soft voice said. It's Aunt Olivia. I closed my eyes. If you're calling to lecture me. No, I'm calling because you deserve the truth. My breath caught. What truth? I heard your parents' version, and it didn't feel right, she whispered. So I asked questions, and Lily, they planned to move into your house months ago, long before they sold theirs, long before they gave Ethan the money. My heart froze. What? They didn't tell you, she continued, because they assumed you'd say yes. They counted on your silence, your guilt. You were their backup plan if things didn't work out with Ethan. I pressed my hand over my mouth. Backup plan? I'm sorry, sweetheart, she said. I shouldn't tell you this, but they didn't see it as asking. They saw it as a right. A painful heat spread through my chest. So they never planned to tell me. They just expected to take over my life. Yes, she said softly. And when you refused, they panicked. They're lying now because they're embarrassed. They don't want anyone to know they gambled everything on Ethan. I laughed. But it came out broken. It hurts more hearing it confirmed. I know, she whispered. But you deserve honesty even if it's ugly. After we hung up, I sat in silence until Jacob slid beside me. What did she say? He asked. I swallowed hard, that they never saw me as a daughter, just a backup plan. Jacob pulled me into his arms, and the moment my cheek hit his chest, everything I'd been holding inside cracked open. I sobbed so hard my ribs ached. He didn't say anything, he just held me, letting every tremor move through me. When I finally spoke, my voice was raw. I can't do this anymore. I can't be their safety net. You don't have to be, he whispered. So I made a decision. I blocked their numbers, every one of them. Then I gathered every birthday gift, holiday card, and guilt-soaked token they'd given me over the years. I placed them in a box and drove it to my parents' porch. I didn't knock, I didn't leave a note. I simply walked away. When I got home, I collapsed into Jacob's arms again. Why does doing the right thing feel so awful? I whispered. Because it's the first time you're choosing yourself, he said. That's unfamiliar, not wrong, but even as he spoke, my chest felt hollow, empty. Like cutting them off meant cutting out a part of myself I'd spent my whole life trying to fix. Still, somewhere inside that emptiness, a tiny flame flickered. You deserve better. It wasn't loud, it wasn't confident, but it was there, and it didn't leave. A week later, Aunt Olivia called again. I thought you should know, she said. Ethan's in serious trouble. He begged your parents for more money. I closed my eyes slowly, and they don't have any, no. She said. They're panicking, they're drowning in the consequences. For the first time since this nightmare began, my tears didn't burn, because I realized something. I didn't destroy them, they destroyed themselves. Silence used to scare me. I grew up in a house where yelling meant attention, and being ignored meant punishment. But after cutting off my parents, the silence became something else, soft, warm, protective. I woke up without my phone buzzing, without guilt boiling in my chest, without feeling like I owed someone my peace. Jacob noticed the change before I did. One morning, while I sipped coffee on the porch, he said, "You look lighter." I feel lighter, I admitted, for the first time ever. We started building a life that wasn't shaped by fear. I went to therapy twice a week. The first session, I cried for 20 straight minutes. The therapist asked, "What do you want to feel safe?" I whispered. Over time, I learned how to breathe without bracing myself for someone else's disappointment. I learned what boundaries meant. I learned that love wasn't supposed to hurt. Jacob supported everything. When I doubted myself, he said, "You're healing." When I apologized for crying, he said, "Feelings aren't wrong." When I wondered if I was selfish, he said, "You're finally choosing yourself." Months passed quietly. Then karma arrived loudly. I was driving home from work when Aunt Olivia called. "Lily," she said, voice trembling. "Ethan was arrested." My heart stuttered. "Arrested for what?" "Fraud," she said. "A big case. Your parents are panicking." I pulled the car over. "Fraud, Ethan? He got involved in something he couldn't handle," she whispered. "He thought he could double the money he lost. Instead, he ruined everything." I closed my eyes. "And Mom and Dad? They're trying to hire expensive lawyers," she said. "They're losing more money. They're desperate." I stayed silent because for the first time, I didn't feel responsible. Their choices weren't mine to fix. A week later, they showed up at my door again, but this time, they knocked softly. When I opened the door, my mom looked smaller. My dad looked exhausted. My brother wasn't with them. "Lily," Mom whispered, "please talk to us." I stood still, calm, no shaking hands, no racing heartbeat, just quiet. Dad stepped forward. "We need your help." I swallowed. "Help? With what?" "Ethan made mistakes," he said, "but he's still family. The lawyers want a down payment." "We thought," Mom cut in, voice breaking. "We thought you could loan us money, just until." "No." The word slipped out before I even thought. It wasn't angry, it wasn't spiteful, it was solid. Final. Mom froze. "Lily, please, we're begging." "I know," I said softly, "but the answer is still no." Dad's eyes widened like he couldn't believe I had the strength to refuse. "You're going to let your brother rot?" "I'm going to let him face the consequences," I said. "All of you should have faced them a long time ago." Mom reached for my arm. "We're your parents." I gently pulled away. Being my parents didn't mean owning me. Dad's voice cracked with frustration. "We did everything for you." "No," I said, "you did everything for Ethan, and expected me to fill the gaps when he failed." Mom shook her head. "We didn't mean to hurt you." "You didn't mean to," I said, "but you did." Over and over, she wiped her eyes. "We need you, Lily." I took a deep breath. "I needed you first." Dad's jaw quivered. And for a fleeting moment, I saw guilt instead of anger, but it didn't matter anymore. Their remorse wasn't my responsibility. "I'm choosing peace," I told them, "even if it means choosing it without you." Mom sobbed. Dad turned away. Neither argued this time, neither pushed. They simply walked back down the steps. Defeated, I closed the door gently. No slam. No panic. Just closure. Jacob appeared behind me. You okay? I nodded slowly. Yeah, I am. I stepped back into the center of the room, the same place I'd collapsed months earlier. Rand realized something powerful. I wasn't afraid of the silence anymore. Later, as the sun set, I stood in the doorway they once tried to force open. The air felt clean. My chest felt free. My life felt like mine. For the first time, I wasn't the girl begging for love. I was the woman choosing her own future. And that future felt safe, loved, whole.